Well, hi there and welcome along to another edition of What's the Word? Bumper edition this week, of course, Dublin Racing Festival. Really looking forward to that. I'm Tom Malone. I've been joined by James Morden from Ladbrokes. How are you, James?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Tom.
Johnny Ward in the middle.
How are you?
Good, good. And you?
All good, yeah.
Good stuff. And David Jennings, as always.
Hi, Tom.
Yep. Looking forward to this weekend.
Great weekend, yeah.
Oh, it's cracking. Right, what horse are you most looking forward to? We're going to start with James. What one are you most looking forward to?
Well, I was going to say Footpad, but he's not going now at the moment, so it's Bell's Hill for me in the Irish Gold Cup.
Horse you're most looking forward to this weekend, Johnny?
Probably, it's a lot of a dead heat really here. There's a lot of kind of horse we're looking forward to seeing. There's no star though, no Presenting Percy, no Battle Over Doyen.
You're being harsh on that, Jade.
No, sorry, a couple
No
of stars
star.
missing. I'm going to say actually Sir Eric. I just want to see if he can progress and become, because his stablemate, slammed the British horses last weekend. So if Sir Eric wins well, we probably have a very good Juvenile on our hands.
He's a seriously good flat horse. Your thoughts?
The horse that will get the best reception if it wins will be Apple's Jade, obviously, because she's a crowd favourite. The race I'm most looking forward to is the Flogas, because I think Delta work against La Bagawa. I think that'll be a cracker. And probably the horse that, for the future, that I'm most looking forward to is probably Envoy Allen. So there's three answers for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree there. He's very exciting. And if he wins at Leopardstown, he nearly should go to Cheltenham because the ground will be softer at Cheltenham.
Yeah, perfect. Right, let's move on to the actual racing then, and we'll start with the first grade one of the weekend in Nathaniel Lacey and Partners Novices Hurdle. Obviously, no Battle Over Doyen, as you mentioned. How did it bet, James?
Yeah, Salsaretta is now in as favourite at 5-2. They've got Dunvegan priced up at 4-1, Relegate 7s, Get a Reason at 8s, and Deafy Blue at 10-1.
What do you make of this, Jenno?
Well, trying to kind of figure out Willie Mullins' jockey bookings, like trying to solve a theorem, because Patrick Mullins on Salsaretta, you'd imagine she would have been the first choice, but Ruby's on Relegate, and Paul Townend, who you think would have second choices on Come to Me, who you'd imagine would be third choice. So I can't make head nor tail of them, so for that reason I'm just not thinking about any of them.
You'd be thinking 11-3 is going to be tight enough for Patrick as well.
That's his basement weight, he doesn't know any lower than that. I think he did that for Maldini last Thursday. So the two that I'm really interested in, not probably from a punting perspective here, but Dunvegan is a big price for the Ballymore at Cheltenham. I put him up on our other show up in the ante during the week at 40-1, just because I think he's a horse that's probably a little bit under the radar. The form of his Fairyhouse race has worked out particularly well. Swordsman has won since. Pat Fahey is just head over heels in love with this horse. So I think Dunvegan is a very good horse, and I wouldn't give up on Rhinestone. My only fear with Rhinestone would be that the Martin Pipe at Cheltenham might be in the back of their minds. So maybe this is not the day for Rhinestone, but I do think he's a grade 1 horse, and this might be the day he'll show it. So the two for me against the field would be Dunvegan and Rhinestone.
Anything for you here, Johnny? I mean, you're a big fan of the big dog the day he won in Goran, up in class here.
Yeah, it's a fascinating race, this actually. It was quite open last year, and it's probably more open this year with Battle Over Doyen. I actually think if Battle Over Doyen ran in this, he was no certainty at all. There's so many good horses in it. Commander of Fleet is now the main Jingston horse. He's my selection. I think he'll run very well. He's running the Royal Bond, was good. He's just come out of a maiden, dropping back in trip, couldn't have suited him. He's a real staying type, and he was behind Armand that day. The form hasn't worked out that badly actually. Travelled well into about the second last. Massive fan of the big dog. I think he will have a chance in the Albert Bartlett as well. He looks an out-and-out chaser. You watch him at Goran at the last. He no respect for his hurdles at all. As Gemma says, the jockey bookings for the Willie horses are pretty strange. And you certainly could give Relegate and Salsaretta a chance, but this is a tough challenge for them taking on the boys. And Salsaretta, I think, is grossly flattered by the form of the Felix Desjy Limerick win when that was over 2.5, and he went off very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of girls showing up, boys, let's move on to the Irish Champion Hurdle at 125, sponsored by BHP, and Apple's Jade, Fab here, James.
Yeah, Apple's Jade 11-10 about Apple's Jade in this race. You've Mellon at 5-2, Super Sunday at 11-4, Petite Mouchoir is 14-1, and it's 25s or bigger about the other runners.
Well, does she do it?
I think she does, yeah. Like her last twice over 2 miles, she's been beaten. She was beaten in the Fighting Fifth, and she was beaten in the WKD hurdle at Down Royal. So that's a worry. The last twice she's tried 2 miles, she's been beaten. But it was 2016.
Yeah,
and I think the Apple's Jade in 2019 is different to the Apple's Jade in 2016. I just thought her last 3 performances were breathtaking. The race is going to be obviously strongly run, and you've got Tombstone in there. That's obviously going to be a little bit of company, I'd imagine, for Apple's Jade up front, because her best performance might have been when Wicklow Brave took her on in the Hatton's Grace. They're going to go lickety-split. I just think she's the best horse in the race, and it's going to be very hard for the others to give her £7. I know the trip is a bit of a worry, But I actually think at 5-4, is it at the moment?
5 to
11
4
to
now.
10.
Yeah,
5 to 4, 11 to 10. I think you could make a case that she should be odds on.
Yeah? Well, should she be odds on, Johnny?
I hope she is, because I'll definitely be laying her if she is. She's probably my lay of the meeting. And,
Really,
Lay of
Johnny?
the meeting.
yeah, I think this is going to be close between the three of them. Mellon should have won the champion hurdle at Cheltenham last year on that form. Applejade over 2 miles going left-handed is very, very vulnerable.
She's 3 out of 3 at the track. though.
Yeah, but she beat Faugheen the last day when Faugheen was still bang there. At Cheltenham, she has shown a tendency to go a bit right, and I think one of the reasons they're not considering her for the champion hurdle is because she does go a bit right at her hurdles, and
She jumps them straight. She goes right towards the fence, towards the hurdles, but she actually jumps them straight. But yeah, it's a bit of a worry.
as well as that, you know, I was to Jessica Hines this morning said Super Sunday always finishes behind her, but over 2 miles, I think it could be a different story. And he didn't get the run of the race at Christmas. You know, I thought the race was a bit muddling, even though he was out in front. That they weren't going quick enough. And if he's sitting off a strong pace here, Mellon is going to come on a lot for his run. Now, the only worry with Mellon is he ran an absolute shocker in this race last year.
Yeah.
But I think the word for him is quite strong that he's come on. Apparently, he was quite burly. I don't see her beating these with any authority. If she does win, I think it's going to be close. And
If you're laying her, who do you think?
I'd
could
probably
take
just
her?
couple Super Sunday and Mellon, and with Ladbrokes getting guaranteed odds, you know, if one of them happens to go out to 3s, you'll get that. One of them will be backed against her. I'm not 100% sure which. I think both of them will. I think she'll go off around 13 to 8.
Yeah, and just on that race, actually, in fact, if we are going to take on Appleshade, we will be going money back if the SP Fav goes on to win as a free bet. So it might be worth taking on Appleshade.
That's a great offer.
Yeah, fair
'cause
enough.
in
Right, let's
fairness,
move on
she's-
to the, well, speaking of Ladbrokes, let's move on to the Ladbrokes Dublin Steeplechase. As we mentioned earlier, there's no footpad in this, but how do they bet, James?
Well, Min's currently in at 4 to 6 for this now for Willie Mullins. St Calvados at 11 to 2. Simply Ned has a cracking record around Leopardstown, 13 to 2. Castle Grace Paddy at 7 to 1, and 14s are bigger. About
Loads
the
of people are just going to be doubling up these, aren't they? Min and Apples. Jade, would you put them off that double?
Well, I think Min is the most solid favourite of the whole weekend, yeah. So I just don't see any chinks in his armour. Brilliant in the race last year. Just a different level to these, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was obviously beaten by Simply Ned previously at Leopardstown to that win last year, which is a small concern, but he was very keen that day, and dropping back in trip is only going to suit him. There was no smoke without fire with the betting for this anti-post. You know, he was back, footpad was weak as hell, and footpad doesn't show up. Slight worry about him going forward now because he's not running here. You know, he has it in the bag on ratings. It's really a question, I think, of what will come second to him, and I'm not sure about that. You could say Simply Ned is the most solid, but Castle Grace Paddy has a bit of improvement in him, I think.
Yeah, so you put him up maybe in a kind of forecaster without the
I'd
favourites.
probably put up Simply Ned just because you're nearly sure he's going to run a big race.
Yeah.
saves his best for Leopardstown,
yeah.
Simply Ned.
He's a frustrating horse anywhere else, but at Leopardstown he's...
Particularly frustrating if you back footpad.
Yeah, yeah.
Over Christmas,
But
yeah.
footpad obviously wasn't right that
Yeah,
day.
you
He
would
couldn't
think
have
so.
stopped like he did. I think, like Jenno said, I think Min is probably the most solid of the lot.
All right, let's move on to our fourth Grade 1 on Saturday. The Frank Ward Solicitors, Arkle and Laurishburg. Of course, this is winner last time. Tops the market, James, is he?
Yeah, Laurishburg 6 to 4 in this race. It's knocking out at 3 to 1. 8 to 1 Void Rev, and it's 9s Mengley Can and Paloma Blue.
Well, would you be playing Laurishburg here at 6 to 4? Or are you taking him on?
No, definitely not. I mean, Mingley Can was shorter, a good bit shorter than the bet in the last day, and I don't know. I mean, that can't be his true running. Like I know he was fairly weak in the betting, but Gordon was saying Gordon had 50 runners. His first 50 runners of Christmas, 2 of them won.
Yeah.
And this was probably one of the 50. It was one of the 50.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe how little he found off the second last, because he jumped quite well. He made maybe one mistake, but he's probably better going the other way. But remember how well he ran at Cheltenham last year. You're getting a chance to forgive him that run.
At a price as well.
At a
9
price.
to
So
1.
I'm going to give him one more chance, and crucially we have 3 each way places, but this is a deeper race than it looks. It's going to be a very strong gallop on, and Laurishburg will have to be good to win this, I think.
Is Laurishburg good enough to win this?
Yeah, I agree with Johnny. The thing about Mengley Can is, if you going into the race last time, you were saying just hoping he wouldn't be too keen, and he was just dead. It was
Yeah.
like he needed
He was
like
going up and in the
batteries.
spot
Just
by the end of it, yeah.
he just didn't, like, he was 3 lengths behind the last horse at one stage, and just needed kind of, you know, pushing along to get into it. He just never looked happy at any stage. I don't think that was the real Mengley Can. On value grounds, I think he's probably the option here. I always said that I thought Paloma Blue could be an Arkle winner this season.
You
but
do like Paloma.
I do like Paloma Blue, but he just looks like like he doesn't seem to enjoy jumping. Down the back at Leopardstown last time, he was very, very disappointing.
This is a massive run for him because he has to improve in his jumping or he's no future over 2 miles because he's had 3 goes at it now. And he was slightly better the last day. At Navan, he was deplorable.
He was deplorable at Navan. I thought he was deplorable the last day.
How did he win?
It was probably the worst jumping performance from a winner that I've seen in a long time. But like he's the type of horse who has the ability. He was rated 150 over hurdles. He's probably the highest of these over hurdles. So I'm probably on a par with Mengley Khan. But at the prices, given what you thought going into Christmas, I think Mengley Khan has to be the value option.
Just that Gordon, he was prepared to forgive him as well. He wasn't like, oh yeah, well we're disappointed that's the end of him. He's like, no, I wouldn't say that at all. And like, don't forget how well he ran at Cheltenham last year when the ground was almost certainly gone for him as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Anything else on the card? I'm going to pop up Wonder Lace here before the rest of you say it because 144, he can still do it. Go on.
You think so, yeah?
Yeah, I think he can, yeah.
Yeah,
Go
like
on.
everybody I've spoke to this week has been talking about Wonder Lace and how this horse could be like a champion hurdle contender even.
Yeah.
But he's rated 100.
You got to find something to oppose.
He's rated 144. Like you're not talking about. I think he won off 119 at Navan. I don't know if he's got another £10 in hand. I don't think he does. The one that I'd be interested in, because I do think he's got scope for improvement off his mark, is Uradel, who might need a little bit further. Yeah. He's rated 102 on the flat. He's rated 132 over hurdles. I'd imagine this has been the plan for a while. He's owned by Luke McMahon. Yeah, I just think the way they're going to go so fast, I can imagine Ruby creeping into contention.
Anything else on the Saturday card? Quickly, obviously you mentioned Envoylen as well already. Anything else for you, Johnny, on the Saturday card?
Not really. I do find it interesting that Dermot Weld, Lake Takapuna is seriously interesting because he quite clearly did not get the trip the last day when there was a massive gamble on him. His first run since joining the yard out of Robbie Max. Now, as far as I know, he did look well in over hurdles relative to his chase mark, but this horse travels so well. I'd be probably on him in the nightcap. And then we're all rushing off to watch the rugby.
Oh, you're a massive rugby fan now.
Huge
rugby fan now. Let's move on to the Sunday action then at Leopardstown. The first of the grade ones scheduled off at 1:15. It is the Tattersalls Ireland Spring Juvenile Hurdle. Sir Eric, quality flat horse. He topped the market here.
Yeah, Sir Eric 7-4. It's Tiger Tap 11-4. Course Sublime at 6-1 and 10's bar, but it does look between the top 3 here.
I think can we agree that Joseph wins the triumph? But how about this?
Patrick Mullins was quite sweet on him reversing the form.
And Tom Siegel put up Tiger Tap for his anti-post column on the Triumph Hurdle. It's funny, Saturday I don't fancy that many horses strongly. Sunday I fancy a load of horses.
Here we go.
I think the one that's probably overpriced here, while it's worrying on the back of a fall, is Course Sublime, who obviously took it. I thought he was dead. Like it was a desperate fall. But the fact that he's running here means he must be okay. And they're going to go fast here. It's going to play into Course Sublime's hands. I think he's going to get better with every run. And I could see him being a big player in the Triumph. I think at the prices, he's the one, because everybody's focusing in on that race from Christmas with Tiger Tap and Sir Eric. And I think Course Sublime is probably the forgotten horse. I thought he would have won at Christmas.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel sorry for Brian Cooper. He's ridden this horse 3 times, and granted they've been slightly out of luck the last twice, but it was one of those things. And obviously he's been jocked off for Davy Russell on Sunday, and this horse does have a reasonable chance. It's funny that the maiden hurdle form is the one that dominates, not the graded form at Christmas. I don't really know, to be honest. I'd need to know, have a really kind of good look at the market in this race, because there isn't that much between Sir Eric and Tiger Tap. Obviously, Sir Eric is going to be trained very much for the champion hurdle. Wouldn't be surprised if rather for the Triumph Hurdle. I wouldn't be surprised if even eased off a bit at Christmas with a view to having him completely ready for the day. Willie has that horse as well. La Marquise at the bottom, Martline Philly, interesting as well. That obviously came from France. And Soren actually won very well the last day. Plenty in with chances here. If you had to push me, I am
going to push you.
Probably go with Tiger Tap at the prices each way, but not too much confidence. Just to note as well, Willie's horses were very in and out at that stage as well. This horse might be capable of a bit better.
Yeah, no doubt. On to the second grade one of the day on Sunday. It's the Chanelle Pharma novices. That's the 1 over 2 miles. We've got Araman and Classical Dream here. Around about the top of it, there's kind of no point of talking about the betting for this race right now, because with the jockey bookings, that is just going to flip all over the place, isn't it? Ruby Walsh on board Classical Dream and Paul Tennant on board Araman.
Yeah, I thought Ruby would ride Araman. For this meeting last year, obviously Paul had a couple of choices as well, and it does make a big influence on the market here. And like Classical Dream did look good last time, but
It shouldn't make any difference
It
at all,
shouldn't,
really, at this
But
stage.
it does.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. I think of them all, the one I think that's got the most promise is Vision Donaire, who probably needs a little bit further. But they, like, it's hard to describe how much they adore this horse in Gordon's. Like, they think, like, he's not the next Sam Crow because they're petrified to say anything like that ever again. But they do absolutely
Couldn't believe
love
he
this
was beaten. They
like
couldn't
it was
at Leopardstown.
pure shock, like at Leopardstown, and they've kind of taken that the first 3 home in that race all had experience, and they're saying it was a race for horses with experience at Christmas. He came out last time and he beat a well-fancied horse of Willie Mullins, owned by JP. I think Vision Donaire will win.
You think Vision Donaire? Who are you with, Johnny?
Yeah, I'd be with him just in the as Geno says, just because there's a lot of hype about him. I can't believe Aramon is as good as he looked at all at Christmas. It would look, he was 6-1 with all due respect to Kilbeggan. He'd won a maiden hurdle in Kilbeggan. He was well beaten in the Royal Bond. Maybe it was just one of those days, but it's a deep race. Vision Donaire, though, I think he's definitely the type to progress with experience, and I'd always want a horse over further, or who stays further, rather than a horse who's a doubtful stayer, and he'd be my selection.
You're with Vision Donaire as well,
Yeah,
James? I see you
definitely.
nodding
I think
furiously
he's,
then, yeah.
I just think he's one of the best bets of the weekend for myself, anyway, Vision Donaire.
Well, probably one of the races of the weekend coming up at 3 o'clock is the Flogas Novice Chase.
What a race.
What a race. James, how are we looking at this one? Because you got the likes of Delta Work, Labago One there.
I'm really looking forward to this race, actually. Delta Work 6-4, Labago Raw is at 9-4, Winter Escape at 4-1. It's 8 about Hardline and 10-1 Mortal.
This is a cracking renewal, isn't it?
If
I
you-
always love this race anyway. But
Yeah,
this
if you were
is
to
brilliant.
pick a race, a track, a trip, and ground for a horse, this would be it for Labagoa, because it is absolutely perfect for her. It's a good piece of placing by Warren Great Tracks. She was entered in the Scilly Isles as well, and she's obviously very good. Her form with Lost in Translation is working out spectacularly well. She's beaten top of the game. She's beaten Santini, but I don't think she'll beat Delta Work. Delta Work to me is the most professional novice chaser we have on either side of the Irish
I
Sea.
think he's the best novice chaser in
Yeah,
Ireland.
and even if you go back to the Drimmore and you see what Laurishberg has done since, and to be able to make that mistake at the last, for Davy to lose his irons and still come back and win, this horse must have a huge amount of ability. Over 2 mile 5, it's going to be hard because he does want 3 miles, I think. But I just think he's a hell of a horse, and I think anything they throw at him, I think he'll be able to take it. I think class will get him through. So I wouldn't back him at the prices, but I think Delta Work is the most likely winner.
You think Delta Work's most likely winner, Johnny?
I do, yeah. I think this will be tough for Labago Roy. I think they'll be stacking up in behind her. Winter Escape's going to be travelling away. Obviously, Delta Work. I wouldn't be that bothered about him dropping back to 3 miles. His Drinmore form suggests like he would have won easily that day had he not. Granted, probably Laurishberg's better over 2, but apart from that, the last he would have won very
And
easily.
he still won snug enough.
He won
like,
Stoke.
yeah, he
I remember
won
saying
well.
at the last, this lad will still win. He'll outstay him, and his performance at Christmas. That wasn't a great Grade 1 at Christmas. There's a load of Jigginstown horses in it, but he's a lovely, lovely horse. You couldn't be holding him. How well is Glenn Lowe going to look handicap wise when he actually gets a mark as well when he wins his maiden?
Yes,
relative
get
to
one
this
for us,
lad.
doesn't he? Anyway, right, let's get on to the another one of the absolutely brilliant races of the weekend at 3:35. This is the Unibet Irish Gold Cup. How do you bet for this, James?
Road to Respect, a bit unfortunate last time out. 5-2 favourite for this. You've Album Photo at 7-2. Bells Hill is at 4-1. Monolith at 7s, and the rest are at bigger prices there.
Number 1 member of the Road to Respect fan club here beside me. So
yeah,
you're with him today.
big fan of Road to Respect, but the horse that I think everybody should back this weekend is Bells Hill. I give him a big shout in the Savills Gold Cup, but I think if you look at Willie's record in what was the Lexus, now the Savills Chase, I think he's a much better record in the Irish Gold Cup, the way he trains his horses. And I love the run of Bells Hill at Christmas. Thought he travelled great, I thought he jumped great. He just blew up, and so many Willies ran poor as well at the time. I think he is the best horse in the race. I think he'd be second favourite for the Gold Cup after presenting Percy after this. There is obviously doubts about him going left-handed, but he has won a Grade 1 left-handed over hurdles. There is doubts about him at Leopardstown, but he did run well in the Savills Chase on his first run back left-handed. He's better in the second half of the season. I just think all the ducks are in a row finally for Bells Hill, and this, with me, is his last chance.
Okay, last chance.
Last chance going left-handed.
Yeah.
Like
He'll be finding punches.
I think he can win a Gold Cup. At the minute, if you were to ask me, give me a free bet for the Gold Cup, I'd back Bells Hill.
Okay, that's
This
fair
is
enough.
a hell of a horse now.
Yeah.
I just think I'd be amazed if he's not better going right-handed. And the stats completely backed it up. I thought his performance in the Irish National was extraordinary. Absolutely, by a million miles the
that
more
was
winner of
Hawk
the race.
deep ground as well.
It just showed the class he had. And to just be still bang there, jump the last when I don't know what happened. Obviously something went wrong when he jumped the last. But road to respect for the company he was running in the last day. So much went wrong those 2 instances, and I love the guts he showed to nearly snatch second place. He should destroy Monaghan if the race is run to suit this time on that running. And I'd be very, very disappointed if he's not in the first 2 at the very least. And I think he's a great chance. Hopefully go to Cheltenham. Road to respect the ground is, some connections would argue the ground is good to Pharma at Leopardstown on the Chase course. If it is, he will absolutely love it. And left-handed will suit him better as well.
Really?
I think road to
Is it
respect.
that quick?
It's officially good, and they're not going to call it good to Pharma. It's probably good, but there's been very little rain, and we've actually a sunny day today as well so far.
A little bit of frost and that.
You could make a case for a few of these if
The way
they
we all look
disappoint. Obviously, Annabelle Fly could run well as well.
I think Annabelle Fly is going to run a big race.
Could sneak into it. Don't rule out the Storyteller running a reasonable race. He actually ran well at Christmas in a bit of a mess race. Obviously no Ken Boy, but Road to Respect is a massive chance.
Okay, right.
And a massive chance to Gold Cup, I think.
Right, go on. Quick shout along the line for this one. Bells Hill?
Oh, Bells Hill.
Bells Hill.
Road to Respect.
James?
Bells Hill.
Bells Hill. I'm with Annabelle Fly each way. All right, that's the Sunday card. Anything else on the Sunday card? Quickly.
Yes, I like Land of Hope and Glory in the 410,
here.
the Abbey International Handicap Chase. Loved his run in the Tim Duggan. He's down to a mark of 130 now.
That must be closer to his flat mark.
Yeah, he made 2 absolutely desperate errors in the Tim Duggan at Limerick. Still was on the bridle turn in, was hampered by a faller at the second last. Interesting, Luke Dempsey, who rode him that day, has been retained. I'd say this might have been the plan for him.
Okie doke. Johnny, anything else for you on Sunday?
Yeah, the problem with that race is JP has like 3 others or whatever, and any second now looks the most likely winner of that race in the basis that you tipped him up in the Paddy Power. He kind of stayed, kind of didn't.
He ran well.
This is probably his trip.
Yeah.
And this looks a really logical chance, unless they're really prepping him for Cheltenham. I think this is his race. Now, Land of Hope and Glory did run a blinder at Limerick. He was very eye-catching. I'm going to leave that race for the time being and tip up Jeremy's Flame in the bumper for Gavin Cromwell.
Good stuff. Right, time for our best bets of the weekend then for the Dublin Racing Fest. So go on, James. No, you're in a hurry. You have to catch a plane to Stag do. So go on.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Min in his racing on the Saturday. I'm going to go Tiger Tap Tap. And I'm going to take David on there and go with Labago Roy. I think they're not going to take it easy on that because I think they might be skipping Cheltenham with Labago Roy. So that could be the race for her.
Put the filly in as a third, the mare in as a third leg. Right, Johnny, what are your 3 for the weekend?
I'll give Lake Takapuna in the handicap chase. I got to put in Min. I think he's really, really solid. And probably Road to Respect is a treble.
Okay.
Bells Hill, 3:35 Sunday. Delta Work, 3 o'clock Sunday. Vision on Air, 1:50 Sunday.
If Bells Hill wins,
Come on, Johnny.
if Bells Hill wins, I will treat you to dinner
What's your
in
favourite
the restaurant of your choice in February. Anytime in February. Just you. Bells Hill wins, just you.
Just you.
Actually,
okay, I have a very
you can bring
small
James as
appetite.
well. James has to pay for his
He's
own
going to
meal.
the all you can eat buffet.
But if Bells Hill wins this, I'm very keen to take him on and just to add a bit of crack to the whole thing.
Your boy, Chanelle.
And I'd be definitely disappointed if Road to Respect doesn't finish ahead of him.
Okay. Best bet of the weekend. Catch you, obviously, at Linkfield. Right, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week with more What's the Word.